these reports. All right, Summer Camps 2019. Teachers have proposed a variety of courses to offer this summer. We are in the process of compiling all of the course descriptions and other information related to registration. All of this information should be ready to be distributed to the community in the next few days. Summer camps will run the weeks of July 8 through 12 and July 15 through 19. So as always, I include a thank you section. No person, no department, no individual is silent here at Founders, that is for sure. I want to thank certainly Mrs. Hayes for her work as the chairman of the esteemed Standardized Test Subcommittee, which is not easy in terms of coordinating, organizing. And it's funny, you talk about being on hold for ADP. None of that compares to the whole time we have spent with standardized test companies and helplines and the this and the that. So thank you for your work on that. Then we get into those who attended the annual John Stark Day breakfast, which, as you know, is part of the annual fund. The annual fund consists this year of 2 raffles, the John Stark Day breakfast and the President's Club. Certainly something to keep your eye on as we go into the summer and how we want to proceed with that for next year. Thank you to those who performed, supported, and sponsors and so on, and attended Seussical the Musical, which was earlier this month. It was a phenomenal and very lively and vibrant production. You know, it takes courage to get on stage. I feel it takes even more courage to be a soloist and to participate in musicals at a very young age. So I want to thank all of everyone that participated in that. Thank those who coordinated the middle school dance on April 12th. I know some of you aren't here right now, so thank you very much for doing that. Christine Soames, who is a paraprofessional here at the school. I have to say, we were in the middle of the yearbook, which is a very big deal around here, and we had an advisor that had to give that up. What are you going to do, right? Christine Soames stepped right up. She said, I will do it. And so she's working on that. And that is a tremendous amount of time editing, photography, placing, formatting. So how thankful we are to have Christine, who's also volunteering her time to photos of the dance and the like, really has stepped up. So for that, we certainly want to recognize her. I thank those that supported charter renewal at the State Board of Education meeting on April 11, 2019. And so with that, I think I'm going to close my remarks. Thank you.
Thank you, Dean Mooney. I want to pick up on the beginning and the end of your Dean's report because you introduced your comments today with saying lots of things going on and charter renewals behind us, and it kind of went right past real fast. And then you have some thank yous in the end, but a very special thank you has to go to you for all the work that you've done through the process. It is a big deal, and it is a lot of work, and it's a tremendous accomplishment. And I don't want to overlook others. I'm going to thank them in just a second, but standing alone, all by yourself, you deserve a thank you for all that you personally have
Yes,
and I don't want to forget the opportunity now to thank all the others who have helped in it, from administration and faculty and teachers, and I know that Greg and Cassie and everybody has been involved in this. It is a lot of work. It's a great accomplishment. It's a big deal. So applause for all the rest of it. Good job, and a great place to be for us to now really get into the engagement of thinking about what the next 5 years should look like, and starting to chart that course. And it's great to have the opportunity to be forward-looking on those things. Other comments or questions about the Dean's report? It's not our process to require the approval or the acceptance of the Dean's report, and so with that, we can move on to the next item on our agenda, which is the representative's report. I know that Jane isn't here today, and she submitted a report. Okay. Then we will will excuse that item on our agenda. I imagine that's probably true also of Connor's report as a student
I
trustee.
do have Connor's report. He sends regrets. I apparently he's a class on Wednesday night sometime, so that's the reason we're not going to be here today. His report is as follows. In accordance with my last report, we now have a date, place, and time set for the high school field trip. This year, the Senate has decided to go to Hilltop Fun Center in Somersworth, New Hampshire. They are offering us use of go-karts, mini golf course, laser tag, driving range,
Yeah.
climbing the
Where do you
wall,
sign up for that?
and bungee jumping equipment. You can get all of this for the low price of $21 a person. The field trip will be on Tuesday, May 28th from 8 to 3. Spring Fling will happen on May 18th. That's a Saturday. We're very proud to have a sponsorship with a variety of New Hampshire schools to have the Spring Fling advertised. And at this point, too, I want to point out, I know that Rachel Sanville, should know.
She'll be right back.
Okay, she has secured a sponsor. Just heard about that yesterday, so I'll bring that out. Since we expect more people coming to Spring Fling, we have set up a shuttle service courtesy of a parent willing to shuttle people from overflow parking using his bus. Lastly, I would like to congratulate the Founders Academy for having its charter renewed for another 5 years. And a special congratulations to Mrs. Humphrey for her new school that just got approved, Spark Academy. That's from Connor McFarland.
Hey, quick question. Are we, I suppose someone's thought of the fact that there may be some liability to have a parent driving people to and from a satellite lot? Yeah. Oh, I can't recognize you,
It's
sorry.
interesting, we just had that conversation.
So he's a camp owner and he owns a business. He's fully insured. He's going to funnel that information to you in case you have any questions. He is a teacher at Highland Grouse Falls. He runs a camp called Camp on Wheels. I don't know if you've heard about it or not. But, so it's a business and he has business insurance and he's a teacher. He's certified, fingerprinted, background checked and all that kind of stuff. So Rachel's going to reach out to me and get that information to you so you can clear it. But I don't think it's going to be a problem at all.
Thank you.
Good question, good answer. I also know from my own experience with my kids in high school, there are more than a few extracurricular events where the expectation is that the kids will figure it out on their own and get in the cars with each other and go, and I look at that and I'm thinking, oh boy. But it's apparently a little looser than I would necessarily choose to. Your name tags are switched, by the way. Now you have Maureen in front of you.
Oh, that's all right.
It's like, if I had known that before the Dean's report.
Yeah, I could have told her the Dean's report. That would have been horrible.
Okay. I assume there's no other further questions about Connor's report. Connor's not here to offer any answers other than general discussion. So, seeing that item is complete, that brings us to item 6, which is board business. And under 6A, there's an indication of how to govern a New Hampshire charitable organization charter school edition handouts.
So before I say that, before I address that, I just want to again mention Rachel Sanville secured a donation. You can play back the tape here. A donation for the Spring Fling. So thank you, Rachel, and for all of your hard work dedicated to the Student Senate and Spring Fling. Always doing something.
Great job, Rachel. Thank you.
And she was awarded with her very own lanyard. So when she borrows my keys, she can wear them just like mine, right? Thank you. Mrs. Humphrey, we have best practices. The 3rd year now in a row we have hosted best practices. And, this is a time for charter school personnel from all over the state to come together and hear various sessions on various topics given by various presenters. One of the presenters was Tom Donovan from the Office of the Attorney General's office, giving board training essentially over an hour's time. Mrs. Humphrey attended that session, reported back that it was absolutely outstanding, and specifically asked, which is why I had it put on the agenda, that I pass out for you the pass out she received at that seminar. Very valuable in terms of board training. So with that, I'm going to pass it out.
Yes, Tom Donovan is an excellent resource. He's the director of charitable trusts. I've had a chance to work with him on some other items professionally, and he's very thorough, very knowledgeable. And the other benefit is the director of charitable trusts. He's also the decision maker on what's the correct way to do it. So you can take this to the bank. This isn't his interpretation of a resource. He's the source. So very good.
Awesome.
Thank you for that. If there's no other discussion on that item, the next item on board business is B, proposed policy on early college.
I would ask that you recognize Mrs. Hayes, who has a couple comments with regards to this. Although this policy is not ready for a vote, it should be referred to the policy committee, certainly to discuss. And I know Mrs. Hayes has prepared a few remarks on the subject, so if you would be so kind.
On the technology one.
I'd like for you to do the early college first, if you could.
Okay.
And then we'll do topic C later on.
You okay?
Okay, sure. It was mentioned that there should be a policy on early college from the board for our school for students who are interested in starting to earn college credit while they're still in high school, completing their high school degree. So I reached out to Major Lee Locke at MCC, and he sent us their language that they use at their school. So that's something that we can use as reference to build our policy.
So the language we have here is suggestion. I've had a chance to kind of glance through it as we were talking about some other things. I don't know if anybody else had a chance to look at it or has comments on it. It certainly seems like the right idea is to have a policy like this and to encourage those linkages with schools where you get college credits in high school. And there's even some, we all know Sparks Innovation is new.
Yeah, I would say this policy is for reference, and I think if it could go to policy committee, that would be what we'd be looking for at this point, as opposed to approving this one.
Oh, yes, perfect. Thank you for that. And I think ultimately, at the point of making the decision to make that referral, I just wanted to see if there's any general discussion about the concept or the idea by the board before we send it off.
So it mentions affordability in this statement. Do the students pay for at presumably a reduced rate for college credit?
Yes.
Okay, great.
It's indicated here as half price for those credits, where the normal price would be. And although that still may be a significant sum, it's certainly a discount. So.
And the credits transfer to so many places, so they really.
Because they're all kind of general ed-ish, yeah.
Yeah, or they'll take them in as a elective, they'll take them in for various things. So they might not accept your particular science in their program, they want you to take their science, so you can put it under an elective or something. Just watching my own children, able to gather 24 credits in high school is a significant savings.
And Major Lee Locke at that PTSA night said that he had personally called like so many schools around the country to see if they would take it, and they would. The exception he noted was the Ivy Leagues, that because they can, right? But other than that, the transfer was phenomenal for them to be able to have that ahead of time.
Other discussion? Okay. We certainly could take a motion to refer to the policy committee, but I'm not even sure that's necessary. I mean, it just would be the general will of the board that this be referred to the policy committee. Anybody have any objection to doing it? It's just general referral, wants to see a motion. Then with that in mind, it shall be the will of the board that we refer this to the policy committee. Item 6C on our agenda is a proposed policy on technology and privacy.
That's what you also recognize Mrs. Hayes for some prepared comments and remarks on this topic.
Foresaw that might be the case. Mrs. Hayes.
So I will make this brief, but just to give you a heads up, The governor signed HB 1612 in June of 2018, and it went into effect in August of 2018. It's a long RSA, or it's a long, it's now part of a RSA, an amendment to an RSA. But basically what it's asking is that the Department of Ed establishes minimum standards for privacy and security of student and employee data based on best practices for local educational agencies, also referred to as LEAs. Each LEA shall develop a data and privacy governance plan, which shall be presented to the school board for review and approval by June 30th, 2019. So what we need to do is we need to use the minimum standards, which I have, from the department, and create our own policy to meet or exceed these minimum standards for privacy. So I have quite a bit of information that I would like to bring to the policy committee to be able to collaboratively create this policy, and it needs to be approved by June 30th of 2019.
By the whole board, so the policy committee will take it up in May, early May.
So I just have one question, and I think it's a great idea that you're doing this, but it talks about the LEAs are responsible for this.
Yep.
We are not an LEA. Are charter schools still required to do it?
As far as I know, that is my understanding. At the last charter school meeting that Jane Waterhouse, or not the last one, but one of the recent ones, they presented on this and did say that we were accountable for it as a charter school.
I think it's great to do anyway, but it's just curious.
So that's my
That
understanding.
deadline was firm. Okay.
Yep.
So I want to pick up on that comment as well. I think that it's a good policy to have regardless of what's required of us, whether we happen to fall under the requirement or not. But it may be worthwhile getting some consult from Dean about how to make sure we're making it clear we're not adopting our the role of an LEA or making ourselves into that, because that particular designation comes with a tremendous load of responsibilities that you don't stumble into. And so it may be worth a call to Dean just to make sure, should we put something in a policy that says we're not an LEA, but we still want to do this, or some answer for that puzzle. Thank you, sorry for the interruption.
No, that's okay.
But we'll still start moving forward.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, it was
No
my
policy.
understanding specifically from that meeting that charter schools were also responsible for this,
Yeah.
but clarification.
Maybe mention somewhere else in the statute that if you're the charter school, it's still covered or something, but
Okay.
good job.
And I can, if you want, read through the minimum standards. I'm not sure that's necessary at this point. One thing I wanted to make sure that was clear is it states that the standards are, or the policy is overseen by the board. So it specifically states in this frequently asked questions document that at the present time, the state has not established a program to audit compliance with the minimum standards, but it's the board's responsibility to make sure that the standards are being upheld and updated and reviewed on an annual basis. So that's going to be another responsibility after it's approved.
That's good, that's the only thing that has.
Do you have copies of that document for us?
I don't think so. These are documents that I kind of obtained. They're all on the state website. So I can share that, or we can maybe link that page from the DOE website to the meeting minutes. So all of these that I've received are from the DOE website.
Is this another matter or item that needs to go to the policy committee from here?
Yes.
So you'd like us to take that action tonight?
Yep. And I'd be happy to collaborate.
Yeah, certainly will of the board, and I don't know if there's any general discussion ahead of time. My offer of general discussion is, and I'll tie this back to the previous item B as well. Let's make sure when the policy committee develops something that's got some form to it, that it gets published on the website before it comes back to our board. So if there's any comments the public, the parents would like to have, we get a chance for that.
So we should have a draft of this up and ready for the May meeting to be voted on at the June meeting.
I just want to make sure that we're
Before you
ready.
go home, let's talk about a date and time that works for you for the policy committee.
Yep.
And then go from there.
Christy, thank you. about this concept? Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. We've already dealt with item 7 on our agenda, which is new business in the ADP presentation. That brings us to public comments. Item 8, and we have one person who signed up for public comments. So let's take a look at our policy BEDH. And make sure we're following that. Okay. So policy BEDH is our policy on public participation at board meetings. And it is our tradition to read this at the beginning of the public comment period. In order to assure that persons who wish to appear before the board may be heard, and at the same time it may be conduct its meetings properly and efficiently, the board adopts the policy of the following procedures and rules pertaining to public participation at board meetings. With an effort to ensure that all members of our school community have the opportunity to address the board, public comment will be moved to item number 8 on the agenda. Each person will have up to 3 minutes in which to speak, and there will be no limit to the number of speakers. Members of the public may offer comments on agenda items only. The board will not entertain comments on items that do not appear on the agenda. Requests to address the board on matters not on the agenda must be presented to the dean and must set forth the specifics of the subject to be addressed. When appropriate, the board may place such requests on the agenda. Consistent with RSA 91A3, policy BEDG, and the laws between the student and family, the board will not take that is to be properly discussed in a non-public session. Complaints regarding individual employees, personnel, or students will be directed to the director in accord with policy KE and KED. All speakers are conducting themselves in a civil manner. Obscene, libelous, defamatory, or violent statements will be considered out of order and will not be tolerated. The board chair may terminate the speaker's privilege of address if the speaker does not follow the rule of order. Let's see. Persons appearing before the board are reminded that members of the board are without